Bucs fans, what's going on tonight? Happy Thursday. It is Thirsty Thursday, but we are no longer thirsty because our thirst has been quenched with this bomb-ass draft, thanks to Jason, who shows us the light as always. Thank you and welcome to another great episode of Bucs Report, the Aftermath, 102.9 Game Broad Street South Radio. It's one of your hosts, AJ. Turn up. We are going to really break down this wonderful 2025 NFL draft. And I'm going to give you the reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to go all the fucking way because of this draft. This was a solid draft for me, but we're going to break that down. We're going to talk about the upcoming schedules. We're going to talk about other players that were drafted. And then, of course, there are other teams that we might have to worry about that could be a potential threat in the NFC. But as of right now, Bucs, take a fucking bow, Buc fans. Your Jason Light GM man knocked it out of the fucking park. With no further ado, let's bring on Coach Slick, aka the British guy who's always fly. And we got to give him props, y'all. Get on that screen, Coach. Coach Slick is 2-0, ladies and gentlemen. 2-0. So again, his record continues to speak for itself. Again, check out my YouTube channel video. Give Coach Slick an opportunity. Buc fans,
I'm going to talk my shit a little bit here.
Take notes.
No passing touchdowns all season so far. So 2 games, no passing touchdowns. 1 on the ground. We've given up 7 points in 2 games. We are the division leaders. I don't know where we are in the rest of in the pecking order, but we go against this team again. This team that we played were pipped to be the division leaders. They were going to end up going in the playoffs, and we might scrape in. There was the conversation of maybe doing. Right now, we've beaten them. They couldn't score a single point on us. It was a fantastic day, hot day as well. So we face these guys. No one's a pushover in our division, but because we haven't really stretched the lead on anyone yet. There's a good defense. Everyone's playing really good. Everyone in our division plays good defense. They're just sloppy on offense in comparison to us. So we're blessed with a very good kicker, Adam Tuddy Smith. So everything's going well so far. We just got to keep the momentum going and kick some fucking ass. But let's talk about this Buccaneer draft, baby.
The Buccaneers draft was a slam dunk. The Buccaneers draft was what I anticipated. The Buccaneers draft is what I already knew because not only Jason Light, Todd Bowles knows what's at stake, ladies and gentlemen. Todd Bowles is very aware, not only his job, but his legacy. Todd Bowles wants to go out knowing that he is a great coach and not basically Arians flunky. Because at the end of the day, if he fucks this up, let's say he gets the Bucs to the playoffs and they are first round exit again, that's going to tarnish his legacy. That is going to put a stain on look at what he did in the Super Bowl. And people are going to say, yeah, he only was able to do so because he had an aggressive-minded coach in Bruce Arians. So, great draft. We picked everybody that needed to be picked. Buc fans, we played chess, not checkers. And you don't always go for the most known name. You go for the player that best suits your style and your team and your vision and your direction.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, for me, the first pick of the board was a little bit obscure for us. I think it was on day 2, and they took up the corner for
Benjamin Robinson.
Next game, Benjamin Morrison.
Morrison, that's right.
And none of us. We were all. Thomas was on the board. All these other guys were on the board, and this guy gets picked. And it's probably because, like, if you look at what Jason Light has said in his pressers and how they talk about drafting talent. They want guys who love football. They want guys who want to be Bucs. They want guys who, excel at their position. And of course, every single person excels at their the position when you're a day 2 pick, right? No one's bad in day 2, realistically. So it all comes down to like just who kind of fits their mold, who can understand, who maybe I mean, I don't know Notre Dame's defense that well, but maybe they have a defense that's similar or in the same vein of Coach Bowles. So it's like it's almost like an apples to apples kind of defense. So or the kid's really smart. You know, they sit down with them in these meetings, they get them to draw the board up and all that kind of stuff, and draw the play up. And what would you do in this situation? What would you do in that situation? What's going on here? What kind of coverage would you call against? If you saw this, what coverage would you call against this? Those kind of things get asked in those meetings, and if someone looks like they've got that true football IQ at corner, they go, "This is our guy," and the other guys may not have been as impressive in that one little area, and they go, "You know what? We like this guy's athleticism. We like this guy's this. We like this guy's everything. He, all across the board." So I'm happy with the pick, but we were all a little bit surprised by it because I think we fall in love with players in the draft because whether they come from somewhere or we've seen more of their play, right? Because I don't watch a lot of Notre Dame football. I'm not going to lie. You can't watch everyone, right? There's so many games.
Correct. So many schools, so many games, so many different opportunities, but also his injuries sidelined him. But his rookie year, he had 6 interceptions. And he fits the prototype for Bowles, a 6-foot guy, a 4.3 speed. We know one thing for sure that Bowles is going to look for is, are you 6 foot and can you run a 4.3? So he checked out. And you're right, it's the mentality. Bowles and Light want players to come in this game with the mindset and direction that team first, me second. And that's what we got in our first pick with Emeka. He's an outstanding player. Everybody talks about him. Everyone loves Emeka, Slick. And I thought it was brilliant. You know this. Guys, I'll try to find my reaction. But yes, Slick and I both were like, oh, shit. It wasn't because we were upset. We were sitting back like, wow. Sup, JT? JT remembers our reaction. We all said, whoa. Now, when I thought about it, I had to think, and Slick and I said it. That's a fucking genius move. Now, that means the pressure for Godwin to come back is lessened. That means we have a plethora of talent. Buck fans, do you not remember when Evans and Godwin went down last year? We were stressed. We had to get Ryan Miller, like a 5th string guy, to come in. People forget when we played the Chiefs, McMillan was hurt. Trey Palmer was useless at that point. Sterling Shepard was fighting an injury.
That wide receiver room camp battle was going to be the talk of the whole of the Buccaneers off-season program. Through OTAs, all the way through the preseason, everyone's going to be talking about that wide receiver room because it is stacked. Even if, like Trey Palmer, the talent, we all expected him to do more than he is. He is now like looking for a fucking really thick window that's steamed up, and he's like seeing. It's like the SpongeBob meme. Yeah, it's just all the wide receivers playing. He's peeping through the blinds.
Yes,
he's been faking for these other motherfuckers. And Trey Palmer could find himself in a practice squad or having to be picked up off waivers very, very soon if he doesn't sort his shit out. There's only 5 spots available, or 5 to 6, but we'll talk about camp battles further down to it. But this is going to be the talk. I'm calling it right now. No one's going to give a shit about the cornerback room, and the wide receiver rooms are going to be the biggest conversational pieces for sure. Everything else is set. 100%. I don't expect any real difference. I think a lot of Buck fans think there's going to be some sort of competition in the defensive tackle room with your Florida boy being signed, and they're like, that's it. He's going to be an absolute monster. Think of all these guys that, and I'm like, okay, but if he was that good because of his weight, he'd have been drafted earlier. There's a reason people are scared to use the guy because they're to spend a draft pick on him. He's a developmental piece that maybe gets added to active squad for teams like who use the tush push or what have you. That's what he's being used for. He ain't gonna be an every down dude. That is a role player, and that's all he'll ever be. He is just too big to play that much football.
Agreed.
If he can, fucking awesome. I'll take it. But I think when a guy goes undrafted, there's always there's question marks. Can he move? How well can he move at that weight? How much football can he actually play in a game in Tampa or in Dallas and I know he played at Florida, but I bet you he didn't play every down in Florida.
No. And again, I would say this. Let's be real. He would need, I'd say because I don't think he's gonna play any games in the early weeks. I'd say by October, he needs to be down 60 pounds. I said what I said, Buck fans, 60 pounds, not 40, 60. He needs to be
I think he moves at that weight quite well because he also had a great combine with it and all those things. And I'm not massively concerned with the weight. I mean, we'd all I think if you can get some shedded off, brilliant. But he obviously holds that on his frame quite well so far. But I just think in the Tampa Heat, combine that, he's a package player all day. And I honestly believe that he'll be a practice squad dude that gets caught up to active roster when we go against teams that are known for their quarterback sneaks. Because we need to be able to stop something like that. And, putting him and Vita Vea. And if there's anyone who can teach him how to move at a heavy size, it's Vita Vea.
Vita Vea can be.
But I don't think you need to, Buck fans, stop thinking he's going to be the second coming of Vita Vea because he's not.
No.
If he is, fair play to him. And I'm not doubting the kid. I just don't see it happening. There's a reason Vita Vea was drafted, I think, in the first round.
Yes, first round 2018. That's right.
There you go. So there's a reason someone got drafted in the first round, and somebody who's one of an extreme. I think he was probably the heaviest player of that class.
Yes.
Compared to this guy who went undrafted, there's a reason you go undrafted. Now, I'm not saying you can't find a gem, undrafted gems. They exist, of course, because it is a bit of a lottery. Once you get into that 5th round to 7th round, it is a bit of like the talent's very similar. You're taking chances on talented guys that got maybe attitude problems, or really clean guys maybe are playbook savvy but aren't maybe as athletic, or really athletic guys who are dumb as fuck.
Yes, and
those are those picks, right? And then the undrafted are the guys that you didn't have enough time to really evaluate as much, so you weren't as heavy on them. You liked them, but
Yes, agreed. And Chris, I just said that. Thank you for reaffirming it. Yeah, he would need to be under 400, at least 390. But you're right. He's a developmental player. Buck fans, don't get your hopes up. He is the Rudy story. We want to see him make it. I
want him to succeed because it's a cool ass story, especially if you can get him to do a quarter of the production of Vita Vea, because then you can have him to active rotation rather than just being a role player, which means you can plug up run games. So this was an interesting conversation. A guy hollered at me going, "Oh well, if you're going to put those two in front, I'll just run it outside." I was like, "Okay, cool, run it outside." Now I don't have to worry about you going. Now I can spread out my defensive tackles a bit more, which means they're now in free tech positions. And because you're not going to run it up there, because you won't, I don't have to worry about middle runs. So now I can cheat my linebackers further out and invite them to go, guys, now you're going to be like an extra half a yard closer to making the play.
And do they not realize that Yaya is great at stopping the run as well? Just like Hassan Reddick. Sometimes people don't understand. You might think you can do one thing, but if you're facing a personnel that thrives on that, you're shit out of luck. Unless you got a Saquon Barkley caliber running back, you can't do that against this Bucs run defense. Saquon didn't even do it. He had one big play, and then after that, he was silent. I like that she said that. Well, I'm going to bounce to the outside. You actually give defenses more time to get to you.
It's like shutting down half a field, right?
Right.
I know, and when you're going to run, I know where you're going to run it, to the outside. So all I need to do is spread my defense out a bit further out. So let's say my linebackers are at 2. It's what I call a 20 technique. They're literally heads up on the guards, reading shoulder tip of the guard through to the center to the back. Right. That's how I would do it. That's how I would coach it. Now I'm going to throw them in 40 techniques, which means they're now peeping through the other side of the guard, his shoulder. So maybe a 30 technique or a 40 technique. Because they don't need to be so tight, because they don't have to worry about going on the inside, because you're not going to run it on the inside, because you just told me you're not going to run it on the inside. So you've just basically taken away the A's and the B's, the A's and the B gaps, which means I know you're only going COD. So I don't have to defend. I only have to defend I only have to defend 4 gaps instead of defending 6.
And you have to take into consideration, what if your back is better to be an A and a B gap guy and not a C and D? So you're going to change your whole dynamic because you're in fear. Now you're putting your primary weapons at a disadvantage, because what if your running back says, "Coach, I'm not good at running to the C and D gap. I'm an A and B guy. I'm a north and south type of runner. You're trying to make me do something that I'm not, that I don't do well." Like a prime example, I say this, Derrick Henry, we know he's better when he gains momentum. But if you stop him at the line of scrimmage because of his size, it's hard for him to move. Now you're putting your team at a disadvantage. Didn't Slick has always said this, ladies and gentlemen, when you get to the playoffs, the first thing that defenses do, because they're good at it, they're going to take away your run game. They're going to take that away and make your quarterback beat you. So
that's why teams that don't. That's why the Tennessee Titans, right? No shit to them. They're the perfect example for what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings are a perfect example of what I'm going to talk about. When you take a team that is back-centric, the LA Rams, before McVay got in there and turned them into a team that could pass the ball, they were primarily a running team. I can't remember the name of that running back off the top of my head.
Todd Gurley, right? And that's another one. I'm sure we can go throughout the entirety of the NFL history to a degree, and then once we get into like the late 2000s, that's when backs still had the supremacy. But what I'm trying to say is the defense's caliber levels that you're going through as you go through the playoffs will get more stingier run defenses, which means if you don't have a quarterback that can air it out and throw to the wide receiver group that can really dominate, all they got to do is stop your run, because you're one-dimensional. You have to be multi-dimensional in attack. It's the same with a passing game, right? If you only have a passing game, we know you're not going to run the ball. So you're playing, but I think you'll get more out of a passing game than you will just a run game. Now, if you've got both, or one's decent and the other one's really good, you've got a really good chance. Right. You need to be more, you have to try to focus on being balanced. That's what happened to the Ravens. They are a super run team, and because their wide receivers weren't at least above average moments in the playoffs, they fell apart. We see Mark Andrews let him down because he couldn't catch consistently. They took away the run game.
This is the thing. Who are their wide receivers?
Zay Flowers and Bateman.
Enough said. So their best wide receiver is the tight end.
Yep. And
he's not considered the best tight end. He's in the top. There's an argument for the top 5, but you can't live off a top 5 tight end.
It doesn't work that way.
You can't. I mean, we've seen the Chiefs do it, but I will say this about the Chiefs: their defense is amazing. Not only is that, and the Ravens' defense is good at that, but Patrick Mahomes' ability to work with wide receivers that aren't that good and get something out of them.
Yes, right.
Like, he's the kind of guy, you give him 5 wide receivers, he'll go, you'll give me 500, you'll give me 500, you'll give me 500, you'll give me 300, you'll give me 300. And that's just how it works.
That's exactly
what he'll get his 4,000. He'll get his 4,000 yards, but they'll be proportioned into tight end and a little bit from everyone.
Right, and that's what Brady used to do. Hey, you can get me this, you can get me that, and that's a prime example. Great assessment, Coach. But again, that's the whole point with Mark Andrews. Like you said, Mark, as good as he is, he's not Kelsey, especially prime Kelsey. I like Mark Andrews, but he's not Kelsey. And people think, well, AJ, this is what they do. I had to tell somebody this. Well, AJ, you know he had 11 touchdowns. Yes, because he was the primary target, and Lamar would force feed that shit. What do we always say, Slick? High volume doesn't make you the best.
I think the best thing for a tight end is high volume touchdowns because their body can take the lick, right?
Right.
That's what I think. Tight ends are perfect for the red zone. That's what makes offensive football a nightmare, because if you can get the right matchup and you get the wrong person lined up on that tight end or nasty slot, whatever you want to call them, you have an opportunity to bully your way in.
That's right. That's right. I agree. But at the end of the day, though, you have to be the way. You know me, Slick. I always say this: if you're gonna put up massive numbers in the regular season, you need to replicate that shit in the playoffs. Because this is why we love Evans. Evans will give you above average regular seasons. It's not always elite, but when it comes to them fucking playoffs, he gives you excellence. That's when we want to see people shine. Mark Andrews let his team down not once but twice, because I love that people say, well, AJ, you know, Lamar threw an interception and he fumbled, and yet they were still in the game, Slick. It'd be different. Again, you know what we need to get away from, and because it sounds stupid now because it defeats the purpose of evaluation. If you win by 1 point or 100, winning is winning. No, that's fucking wrong. Slick, if you got beat by, let's say you got beat by 50 points, are you literally going to just say, well, that was just it was a win, guy. I mean, you know, we lost. Or are you going to evaluate what the fuck went wrong so you don't go through that again?
So I always say never accept anything in a loss that you never accept anything in a win that you wouldn't accept in a loss. So my standards for a winning is just as high as if we lost, right? I don't give a fuck that we won. If a mistake's been made, a mistake's been made, and it needs to be corrected, right?
That's
so
right.
It does out. If you've been fucking ass raped for the last fucking 60 minutes and you've been, you know, they've scored 50 on you.
Yes.
You really need to take a long, hard look at what's going wrong, right?
Right. 100%. That's right. All. Yep.
Now, winning on the other side, I can understand winning by 1 point and winning by 50 points. A win's a win. I get that. I totally do. But it also means winning by one means you fought a hard-earned battle, or you are both so poor that you were just so poor that you just scraped by and got the win.
Thank you, coach. Thank you, coach. And there's a word in that. You know what people don't understand? Some people might have to go back to elementary and learn this definition. It's a thing called context. You just said it. What if you just, and Slick, people hate this shit, but it happens. Sometimes the better team does not always win. If you catch a team on the right day, it happens.
How many times have we been sat there like, you've been there and you've watched a team, or it's been your team, or it's been the Buccaneers, and you've gone, we are pound for pound better than that fucking team, but they were good in certain areas, like red zone defense, red zone offense. They were able. They knocked on the door twice and scored 2 touchdowns. We knocked on the door 4 times and we scored field goals.
That's right.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. And in context, I'm going to give you a great example, Slick. You're going to like this because Commander fans love talking this shit. However, Slick, I said this to people. If you look at week 1, and I don't give a shit, it was Jaden's first game because it was the Bucs' first game too, and they were fresh. If you look, you saw this was what happened to the Commanders. Chiefs was getting spanked. The game was fucking over by the third quarter. Commanders fans like to act like that Jaden just fucking Jaden threw for 268 yards and 2 touchdowns, Slick. That ain't hell. Cooper Rush did more damage than that. But if you look at Commanders' narrative, they act like that he threw for 450 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 rushing. No, the game went down to the fucking wire. And why, Slick? Because we all know if Bowles was aggressive on offensive side, again, Slick, statistically, the Bucs were not. They were the only team in the playoffs this past year that didn't go for a 4th down. Slick, imagine if the Bucs get one of those 4th downs and they score a touchdown, the Bucs win by 4. Let that sink in, Commander fans. So again, Commander fans, and everybody else out there, including you bitch ass Eagles fans, context fucking matters. That's what we're saying. You can't just say, oh, we won because of this. No, you have to break down why. Because Eagles, your first Eagles fan Slick, their first bitching moment is, well, we didn't have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. But I thought a win was a win. You still had your defense. It was week 4. Okay, the Bucs didn't have a run game, Slick. What if the Bucs had a run game like we had with the Chargers in week 4 against the Eagles? The score might have been 56 to 10.
Sometimes the matchup just isn't favorable. Sometimes things don't go your way. Some guys aren't, like, let's say certain guys aren't dialed in. I gotta say, people seem to think that football is this, it's just X's and O's. And I'll tell you from personal experience, fuck the X's and O's. It's about your Jimmys and your Joes.
That's right. Oh,
and if you ain't the fucking horses, you ain't gonna do shit. You can scheme like a motherfucker. You could get the smartest football mind in the world go to your team, and he's gonna sit there and go, "We're gonna do this and this and this." If your players can't fucking execute it, there's no fucking point in them doing it.
Tell them, Slick. Tell them.
Keep it simple, and then build off that simplicity. Now we know we're talking about the NFL. You gotta have guys that know what they're doing. But there are guys who try and fake it. There are guys who are pretenders in this league. Or sometimes you have a guy who your stud's got one of your third down wide receiver who's used to making some of these third down catches. He's not available today, so we got the guy off the practice squad, and he's not quite as dialed in on that shit. It's those things, those little things that you don't see. Now, if you ass rape somebody, and you absolutely brutalize somebody, then that's different because you were just from top to bottom better than them.
I'm glad you said that, Slick. The way we beat the Panthers the second game second time we played them, there was no context. If you want to go to the context, the Bucs were just by far the better team. We stopped their ass.
Belief as well, man. Like, people don't believe. If you got to get that team, like, you know, when they say culture, we talk about culture, especially in, like, high school kids are really impressionable. So it's really good to establish if you can establish culture in a high school, you can take a team that maybe isn't that talented or as athletic and make them do a lot more, because belief is a fucking powerful thing. There was there's a strong man. I can't remember his second name, but he's Eddie somebody, and he's one of the strongest men in the world.
Yes.
Right. I can't remember his last name off the top. I'm butchering. I do apologize to him. And they asked. He said, "I want to be able to lift this." And the scientist said to him, "You can't lift that. That's physically impossible. But there is a way you can." So, how much training have I got to do? He goes, "It's zero. There's zero training involved." You need to put your mindset into a position that your child is trapped under that car, and the only way your child survives is by picking it up. And he went, and I tapped into a place where I thought my child was trapped under that heavy weight, and I picked it up to the point my nose started bleeding and my body was giving in. Like, the body was ready to snap to pieces, but he pushed through because there was that belief. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to go through that situation. What I'm saying is belief is a powerful thing. The mental game is such a powerful thing. And people don't realize.
Eddie Hall. That's it.
Eddie Hall was told by a scientist that the only way he was going to pick this certain weight that he wanted to lift up, and I think it was something crazy. The scientist said, is if you believe he said, did you know a mother, when they see their child trapped, has almost double the strength in that exact one moment, not for the moments after it, not the moments before it, to save her child. She will do something extraordinary. Or a man saving somebody goes into that mindset of, like, I need to do. It's all about mindset. And obviously not everyone's got that mindset, because not everyone's wired that way.
And that's what separates the greatness, because I'm glad that you brought this up, because Slick, I was on TikTok. If you guys don't know, check me out on TikTok. I had to school somebody on that, because motherfuckers looked at me up and down and said, well, AJ, it's the scheme that is the most effective. You got to have the right guy. I said, no, you got to focus on your players first and what benefits them. A scheme don't mean shit. Give me the Joes. And they laughed at me, Slick, but I want you to listen to this. You'll recognize this voice.
Want to win these games. coaches always say, you take the X's and O's, I'll take the Jimmies and Joes. Meaning, give me the good players. Josh Jacobs is a great one.
So, Slick, I had to tell these gentlemen, I had to ask them with a straight face, so you're going to question Tom Brady? You're going to question Belichick? They're going to question you, Slick? Any motherfucking coach says what he just said. This is why sometimes
if you're going to create a successful program or a football team, we'll go with football team because it's easy, because it's different. There's different levels. Establish a good culture, like guys looking after each other, because you can only establish the winning until you start winning, right? So you start saying, we're a group, it's just us. It's nobody invades this bubble. This bubble is ours. This is us. This is us. This is us. You build us, the team, that mantra, yeah? We are for the team. We bleed for this team. If we mess up, if we come late, we fuck it up. We let our teammates down. We let our coaches down. We let our brothers down, yeah? That's the culture. So we build that culture, and if someone walks into your room and they go, fuck me, everybody's so about this culture, and I could tell you that they care about this, they care about this, these are the values that they believe in. That's culture. So now you got your culture established. Now you look at your team. What have you got? Now everyone, like most teams, if someone just said to me, Steve, you've been hired by such and Slick, you've been hired by somebody else, you can go and be defensive coordinator. I will take what I call my bread and butter. Then I will adjust my bread and butter to suit the players that I have.
That's right.
I'm not going to try and make guys do things that they can't do. Now, if I've got more guys that can do what I want them to can fit my stuff, and there's a few guys on the outside looking in, I may have to shuffle positions for them or what. But yes, when you're talking about like drafting players, you draft players into your scheme or that could fit into your scheme. Right. But when you're establishing it, you can't just go and go from the ground zero and go, right, we're a cover three we're a cover free team that's in a one high shell, and we run America's Fire Free, and we run every iteration of cover free. And this is what the Seattle Seahawks did, and we're going to win that way. It doesn't mean it's going to win. Because if you've got guys who's only ever played man, they will struggle. So do you have the teachers, this is coaching, do you have the teachers to be able to get them to learn your scheme? Because if you ain't got them, then your scheme's practically fucking useless. If I've got 20 guys that don't know how to change a tire, and then I have 4 flats, and I say to these 20 guys, change my tire,
they're going to look at you like,
they're going to look at it, boss, I don't know how to change a tire. And I'm like...
And then you can't get mad. You can't get mad. Again, you knew this, and like you said, you knew this.
I hired 20 guys that did not know how to change a tire. So I now got to show them how to do it.
You got to show them how to do it. And also...
So I do the first tire, and I go, guys, this is how you change a tire. Right.
That's right.
Now I'm going to instruct you on how to do the second tire. Now I'm going to not instruct you to do the third tire. Then the next guy. And that's how you build it. That's how you build. So you need these layers.
That's right.
You do need a scheme. Of course you do. You do. And ideally, you would like guys to fit into your scheme. But as a new coach, you don't get that luxury, right? Not every guy is going to fit the mold the way you want them to. We look at these players when we go, oh, well, the Buccaneers run an X, Y, and Z scheme. So we're going to look at certain players that are going to fit that scheme.
That's right.
But you can't just turn around and go, right, I'm running this scheme. And then it took us a moment when we went from a 4-3 to a 3-4.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because this is what
half a season, if I remember correctly.
Yes, and JPP switched from being a defensive end to a stand-up edge rushing linebacker. That takes a lot of skill.
Levante David went from being being an outside linebacker to an inside linebacker.
And it takes time, but also you had the players. He looked at
teachers. Yeah, good teachers. Good teachers will teach players how to do. Bad teachers will go, well, that's my scheme. They can't do it because my scheme. They can't execute my scheme. No, you're just a fucking shit teacher.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone has the capacity to learn it. You're just shit. There's less patience in the NFL for someone to learn, right? So I get that. But at the high school level, you're just a shit teacher.
you're just a shit
a
teacher.
fucking shit teacher.
But even with that, if you don't know how to coach around your philosophy, you're a shit teacher. You think Belichick looked at guys and said, yeah, this shit is not going to work. Let me do certain situations for these guys. That's
for sure. And then,
situational.
And then in the high school, you don't get to sit there and get talent coming in. You work with what's at your school. So they're your kids, right? So you've got to work with what what turns up to practice, so to speak, right?
That's
Guys
right.
said, I want to be on the football team. You've got to evaluate who's got the most upside that could execute your scheme, and then you've got to teach them your scheme. And the better you are at teaching your scheme and the techniques that need to be refined to affect that scheme, then brilliant. But if you can't teach it, not every player can learn it, but for the most part, most people should be able to pick up your scheme, because you should be able to coach it, teach it, and live and breathe it.
And I've seen this before, Slick. I've seen some coaches out here; they were excellent. Depending on which string, they went by that package. They said, okay, these second string guys are more zone coverage kind of guys. So if they come in, that's what we're going to design for them. Their first string, if they're man physical press, that's what we're going to do. We're going to flip it around. And sometimes if they bring one other person in, they found the right package. Like you said, that's what good coaches do. And he had to make that choice because this is high school. Like you said, you don't have a choice. You can't. It's illegal anyway to try to.
Your kids, you got to roll with what you got, and you got to go out there and do the job. It's the same with us. We get a bunch of guys that want to come and play for us.
That's right.
Right, because it's voluntary. They can go to any team they want. They come to us, and we have to teach them. They got to come. They come in, and they got to buy into the culture of what we're about. Make football violent again. That's the culture.
That's the culture, and that's what that's what the Bucs were about, ladies and gentlemen. Because this was my reaction. I think Slick. I'm going to show you. I think this is the reaction of a lot of Buck fans. This was my full reaction to the entire draft.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Emeka Egbuka.
What the fuck? Oh shit! What? I just love it. I love it. And that's our whole draft in a nutshell, because we have every position filled. We have everything, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to see if Dean is going to be the starter for the rest of the season. Jamel Dean, you are on notice. Benjamin Morrison.
That room's going to be a real tight room.
Yes, I can't wait to say that. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that locker, in that team room where Bowles is like, I'm going to learn this new scheme. Dean, I need you to be healthy. Otherwise, Benjamin Morris, he just told me, he sent me a text and said he's coming for that ass, whatever that means. So we get it together. And Jacob Parrish, you're going to be really good in the slot sometimes. But Chris Izzian said, not so fast, sir. That's my shit. So, guys, you're going to have to work fucking hard. Now, for the edge rushers, you motherfuckers, I'm going to need you to get dirty and nasty. I don't feel like blitzing my corners and safety all the fucking time. So we're going to get that right. Okay, guys? I'm here to get this shit done. You're not going to fuck me up to this year. Okay? All right, guys. Go Bucs on 3, and we're off on Tuesday. I'm just saying. This is what it is. Tampa Film Junkie, what it do, sir? Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Tampa Film Junkie. Get other people in here so we're trying to teach them something. Now, Slick, I'm going out on a limb. You about to laugh at me. I don't care. But Buccaneer fans, rejoice. Get your bottle and sip and toast to this. Your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win it all this year. The record is going to be, the floor is 13 wins. The ceiling will be 15. Now, I know a lot of people are like, "Hey, AJ, that's a tall statement." Why, Slick? We fulfilled the biggest thing. You and I said this. This was a draft about depth. The Bucs have depth now. So now, look at it like this, Slick. Hassan Reddick and Yaya can do their job, but now the pressure won't be on them to be as, they don't have to be as overcompensate, and then we have competent rotational people.
I've got a feeling that Hassan Reddick is going to be the next JPP.
I agree.
I just feel it. He's got something to prove. He had a down year.
Yes, he did.
Like JPP did. He had a down couple of years.
Yes,
and I think he's going to be like, I want to reinvent myself. He's going to come in. I think he ticks every box that Bowles likes in his outside backers. And I would not be surprised if he, in his first year, he's a 10-digit guy. And that inspires DRB. It inspires Braswell and everyone else that we got back there to just get a couple of sacks.
I like where you're going, Slick. I said between 10 to 12 for Hassan. I'm getting between 10 to 12. Now for Yaya, I'm going to say Yaya is going to be between 8 to 9. I think he will improve. I do that, but I think Hassan is going to be such an impact. Here's another guy that's going to get 12 plus sacks. Cansey. This is what makes the fucking Bucs so scary, coach. People, because you know what, I've been talking to other people, including bitch-ass Eagle fans. They are so fixated on Vita Vea. They're fixated on Levante David and Antoine Winfield, which they should be. But they don't remember Kalijah Cansey, where he can't stay healthy. Excuse me, he played the remainder of the season after his injury. Where are you going with this? And he had 8 sacks. What are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen?
8 sack as a 4-tech to 5-tech, not as a guy who's come screaming off the edge.
Slick, I keep telling people this, and you have a guy. Walker is going to be a nightmare. Watch, I'm calling it now. Walker gets us 6 sacks. Why? Because he is a high function motoring. You know what? Who he reminds me of, Slick, and I know they sort of play different positions. One was a DN, but he reminds me of Claiborne with a high motor roding skills, but without the injury. I see the motor that keeps going and going. And again, Slick, what did we just say? Depth is fucking good. Imagine rotating these guys.
I think it's going to be the opposite. I think he's going to be a player that generates only like 4 sacks.
Okay.
But his pressures are going to be it was going to be what he does. He's going to make guys throw the ball off keel. He's going to make guys throw on the run and throw balls that are going to be incomplete, batted down, or intercepted. And that's what you want. Because people talk about the sacks. The sacks is the sexy bit. It's the pressures. How much time do you give the quarterback to think? If he's going to dial up that play a little bit quicker, that's how those interceptions come, because he's like, I've got to get rid of this fucking ball. I think my guy's going to get open. Oh, shit. He's not open.
He's not open.
You know that guy streaking downfield, and he's pace for pace, and it looks like he's just beating the corner. And he's thinking, they're just out of phase. He's like, I think he's got him. If I throw this, and then the corner catches up, the ball's floating in the air a little bit a second too long because he put a little bit too much air under it, and he just picks the undercut. Done. Boom.
Yeah. In another scenario, he might fuck around and forget, the safety got entered the box, and I didn't see that. Now Winfield or Tyke picks that shit off for a pick 6. You are right on that.
It makes your blitz game so much better, because when you're worried about the other guys, the regular guys, the blitzers, you got to pick them up. But I've been watching this dude yesterday fucking all day, and I've had to be being careful because he's been beating my fucking left tackle 99 times out of 10, and I've got to be wary because he's coming, and I can feel him. He's coming. Every time I can see him coming. I've just been able to get, when they throw the ball and get hit, throw the ball and get hit. No one wants to get fucking hit. Throw the ball and get hit. Just every time. And he's thinking, I've got to worry about this guy. And at one time, he thinks about that guy and looks at him going, what the fuck's he doing? That safety creeps down.
Safety creeps down.
Doesn't see it because he's so concerned with this other guy.
Yep.
And then boom, in his face.
And now that puts Bowles in a great position. I'm glad you brought it up, Slick. Now I don't need to sacrifice the back end of my corners and safeties. They can do their job because our front 7 is going to do so much damage. Now let's just say Bowles says, you know what? Fucking, I'm going to really fuck them up now. I am going to load the box and have Winfield blitz. Now you're cooked, because like you just said, Slick, now not only Hassan is such a major key, because remember, we didn't have that consistent guy. So now, like you said, players are gonna have to say, "Oh shit, I have to worry about him," because if not, he's gonna wreak havoc. Yaya knows he had a regressed year, and I like that. I like Yaya's attitude. He's been talking like, I did not like the season I had. So I think he is going to make a big upgrade. And again, we're sleeping on Broswell. People forget, Slick. Broswell, I think, is going to come in this season with a vengeance. I say he'll get
second year guy. That's what we need. He gets five sacks is great, and then you got the other. I'm trying to remember the last guy.
Roberts.
No, he's been with us for a while now.
Are you talking about Anthony Nelson?
Anthony Nelson, and he can fuck around and find out and put fucking 5 sacks.
And I agree. And I think that's why, Slick, I'm gonna do my best and give Bowles the benefit of the doubt last year. Maybe last year he didn't have the pieces to where he could be as aggressive as you and I would have wanted.
The argument could have been is like we're only a cornerback away, we're only an edge rusher away. Right. We got guys still developing, still cooking. Now they're cooked and ready to go. They're prepared and just need a little bit of seasoning for the preseason, and then they're ready to go to burn someone's mouth off.
That's right. And when it comes to coverage linebackers, they said, "Well, AJ, what about?" I said, "If Servassier is bless you, sir. If Servassier is healthy, we're set because we know Levante has his side with Servassier's speed." And who knows, maybe now he can stay healthy, Slick, because he doesn't have to be in the trenches trying to blitz and do everything that the edge rushers can do now. Now you have a set edge rushing core. You have Vita
It
Vea.
could be a freak injury that just, unfortunately, it was back-to-back. And
that's right.
You can get hit by the injury bug. Once you get through it, now I'm clean. You could be clean for the next 6 years. You don't know.
Bucs fans, we've learned that already, Slick, because you know who went through that shit early, but turned out to be better down the line? Gerald McCoy. People forget his first 2 years, he had the injury bug. Then that third year came. We know the rest is history. So I agree with that. That's why, Slick, I am so fixated. I am so passionate about it because the defense, you know me, you know my old saying, I just need you to be average. Now this defense can be average and have above average moments. And now we're going to be good because we've been talking about the defense so much, Slick. Look, this is how you know I'm so fucking confident. This offense is going to be sexy. I'm going to take another step and say it's going to be better than Cohen. Why? Because our offensive coordinator was calling the passing plays. Now look at what you've done now with Tez and Emeka at your disposal. Now you have Mike Evans. And again, we've already explained this, Slick. Evans is not going to necessarily be used so much to drive you down the field. I wouldn't be surprised, Slick, if Evans is going to be the guy maybe you give it to one time to get like a first down on a third down, and he is a red zone nightmare. I'm calling it, Slick. He's getting between 14 to 17 touchdowns. And he's going to have 1,200 yards. That he'll have 1,200 yards, 14, 17 touchdowns, and most of his touchdowns will be in the red zone because now that you have McMillan, now that you have a Mika, and then when Godwin fully gets in this form, you have Otten. Now you can use those other receivers to march you down the field. Oh, and we forgot Sterling Shepard is going to be hungry. Him and Baker have a repertoire. Sterling wants a ring. You know, Sterling is like, I fucked up last. I think if I was him, I would talk to Sterling. You know where I would get him? You fucked up, Sterling Shepard, when you did that bullshit thing with the Dallas Cowboys when you had your family up here going like this and shit. He still owes us for that, Slick, because he was never right after that Cowboy game. He fucked us up. So again, let's go to this offensive line. Tristan Wirfs, he knows his worth. The best fucking tackle in football.
Yes,
Bredesen, average. Graham Barton is going to get better, and I think because he knew
he was great. He had a great. I'd put him in the all-rookie team, right?
Yeah,
I think he just missed out, but I'd put him in the all-rookie team. I wouldn't be surprised if he scraped a Pro Bowl.
Oh, I wouldn't either. And you know who's going to go to a Pro Bowl this year? Cody Mock. I knew that we did something slick. Other people who are other team fans of other teams, they love Cody Mock. They know who he is. Now, one guy talked to me and said, "Man, I'm not gonna lie. I was fucking mad when y'all took Cody Mock." They said that dude is a beast. Look at how much he has improved from his rookie year slick to his second to last year.
100%.
An animal. And then must we talk about Gedeke, who's gonna be like, "Hey, y'all know I'm gonna be asking for some real money after this season." Especially if we win a Super Bowl. He gonna be like, "Now y'all know I ain't coming cheap. My name gonna be Luke Greedykey after this shit." Greedykey, he gonna be like, "I want the fucking bag. Open that chest and I need the booty." Pause. He's going to want that bag.
Done a heck of a job as well.
And he's doing a hell of a job. Then let's go to the backfield, Slick. A lot of people who still don't know yet. Most people know about Bucky and Rashad. I said, don't sleep on Sean Tucker. What if this year, Slick?
It could be Buck and Tuck.
It could be the Buck and Tuck, and you're fucked. I like that. What if our OC goes, "You know what? We're gonna get everybody a shot," because there's still people like you said, Slick. Somebody out there, other opposing teams might not know who Sean Tucker is fully. They might go, "Oh, well, we don't really have to necessarily worry about him. It's Rashad and Bucky." And then Sean come in that shit. It's like, "What the fuck? Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Wait, I got to defend Bucky and Rashad in this motherfucker? Damn."
Exactly. And then you can play even harder on it and have the 2-back sets.
Exactly. And
especially with Rashad's passing catching ability.
Amen.
You can now throw him into the slot if you need to.
You can now throw him into, and look, we're depth at tight end. You got Payne Durham, 6'7" tall statue ass. You got Devin Cope, who's arguably the fastest tight end on the board. This is why, Slick, when it comes to the offense, I'm not worried. This offense is going to be super fucking spectacular. I think Emeka is going to have a bigger rookie year than McMillan. I'm calling it. I think Emeka will have 700 yards, 8 touchdowns. Because remember, he's Chris Godwin mold, so they're going to put him in the slot. Baker loves to be a rollout guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he utilizes him the way we use Godwin. Slick, right now, I'm talking to Chris Godwin. If I'm Jason Light and I'm Bowles, don't worry about it, Chris. You know you are dog. You are number 1G. We love you. We just want you to get ready. I'm going to need you to come back maybe week 5, 6. Let the young boys handle their business, and we're going to straighten you out, get you in slowly. We want to see Chris Godwin from week 1 to 5 last year to week 12 to 17. Oh, my gosh, Slick. That's another thing. We're playing chess. Now Chris Godwin can slowly rehabilitate himself.
If you can get Emeka to at least, and I say this,
yes,
at least McMillan's level, like he finished on, right?
Yep.
And McMillan expands on what he did. So you got like 2 McMillans, a Chris Godwin. You have paid on what he had in his last season. So I would say that was the best I've seen him play. Yep. And then a stellar Mike Evans season. Like it is literally like, who are you going to stop? Because that is probably the best best receiving core in all of football now.
It is the best receiving core. And Slick, I'm glad you said that, because Eagle fans, you don't have fucking 4 solid corners to stop everybody. Stop lying to yourself. Slick, people piss me off. Most NFL teams don't have 4 solid corners. Get the entire fuck out of my face. Because if you don't double Evans, somebody is going to cook. Evans is going to make you pay. You don't have one corner. You know what the problem is, Slick? They think that they have a Marshawn Lattimore in their team. You don't. You don't have a corner that.
Corner's their biggest weakness. But they looked out in the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying they won that by a fluke or anything like that. Not at all.
I get you.
What I'm saying is they're not known for having great corners. Now, Cooper DeJean had a great year. Good for him. But the weakness of that team was always considered corner, especially at the preseason. They probably proved over time that it wasn't as weak as it was. But they also went against a team that had nothing at wide receiver.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Amen. Again, Slick, and we're not taking we're not discrediting them, but that's why I told Eagles fans, you do realize the Bucs embarrassed them with a prime Tyreek Hill, with a prime Travis Kelce. What do you mean? well, the line wasn't that good, AJ. It was better than what they had against us, and we still put belt to ass. Oh, well, AJ, the points that the Eagles scored, that was garbage time. We were so fucking feisty. We didn't even allow points. The only touchdown they had is when they hit Tampa Bay Airport. That's when they touched down in Tampa. That's it. And
that's the only touchdown we got.
And you took the blueprint from the Bucs. You can't take a blueprint. Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? That's stupid, Slick. You know, people piss me off when people take blueprints from people all the fucking time.
Of course, because you can argue the Raiders did it first, right? The Raiders in that season beat them and did it through their line.
Thank you, Slick.
And bullied them up front. And in the book, you look. Everyone does it. You look at right. So you look at it. You look when you're scouting a team. You also look at the team that you look at the plays that they gave the most up on, or what they gave up consistently, and then you see a trend, and it's this certain concept. Maybe it's a sail concept. Maybe it's a mesh concept, or what have you in the passing game, or it's outside run. It's short toss. It's count. Whatever. And then you look at what you've got in your arsenal that you currently have that's similar, the same, or that can be what you've got that can be adjusted into being that. So, okay, we don't use mesh, but all we need to do is get our second wide receiver to run X, Y, and Z to run this instead, and then it pretty much is a mesh.
Preach, Slick. Again, we're in a fucking era where it's a passing league, right?
Yep.
Don't everybody try to go get a top flight receiver? That's a copycat league. Like, again, like sometimes I have to forget. Maybe sometimes you can't argue with uneducated people. So this is what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start asking people like they do on job applications. What's your highest level of education? Because some people just say the dumbest shit, and I just go, boom, no. But again, like I want to go back to the Bucs taking it to the Super Bowl. It's due to the fact that we have something that we didn't have last year, Slick. We have depth not only on one side, but both sides. So let's say if Godwin needs, let's be realistic. I'm going to be a realistic person, Slick. I don't think Godwin is going to be able to really fully play until maybe week 6 or 7. And I want that. Am I wrong for that? I said week 6 or 7. People said 2 or 3. I said we don't want to rush him. We want him to be in full form. You put him in week 6 or 7, Slick. He can get in, be situational week 8, situational week 9. Have him play a quarter week 10. Have him play 2 quarters week 11. Then by week 14, he's back in full. And mind you, Slick, God forbid, knock on wood, what if another receiver on our team is hurt and now Godwin is coming back in full form? You see, people don't realize that, Slick, because we're on the we want to have now. We all want the Bucs to be healthy, but we know this. The NFL, that's not always how it is. Wasn't it last year one of our backup starting, like our second string corner, was out for the season against the Commanders?
Yep.
Then Winfield was never the same after the Commanders. So injuries do play a big part in the NFL. That's another reason why the Eagles got where they were, Slick. Weren't they mostly healthy, just like the Bucs were in 2020 when we were going? When you are healthy, it makes a big difference. And I want to go by this through you, Slick, because I love this. We're going to be talking about the schedule. The schedule comes out Wednesday, May 14th, which is a perfect fucking day for us to talk shit. But I want to give you the Eagles schedule so far because they have the mitigated gall to think that they're going to be like another 15-2 season. I said, get the entire fuck out of here. Last year, you didn't even have a schedule as hard as the Bucs. Now, Slick, I'm going to ask you this. Do you know how many playoff teams the Eagles are playing this season? If you had to guess off the top of your head.
6.
10. Now, here is their opponent, Slick. Buffalo. That's a hard one. We don't know. Dallas. And people can say what the fuck they want, Slick. It's a divisional game. It can go.
I would say that I think if you're going to call it now, I'd say they're going to split that game.
There you go.
Right? They win one, they lose one.
Now, Slick, the next 3 games, they're on the. Oh, I'm sorry. The next 4 fucking games they'll be on the road. At Green Bay, that ain't gonna be a walk in the park.
No.
At Kansas City, that's a revenge game. At LA, now mind you, Slick, I don't think they're beating LA because LA's got an offense now that they can work with out of the draft.
Yeah, I think they're in the what?
Minnesota. I'll say, you know what? I'm gonna give them Minnesota. They'll beat Minnesota, depending on when they play them. Now, here's the one that pisses people off, Slick. But I said the Giants, they might get an upset because Jameis Winston is there. You know, Jameis has a tendency of fucking up people's parlays.
He does to fuck people's parlays up.
So
the way and they got the Commanders twice as well.
Commanders, they'll split. They're gonna split.
But let's say that you take all those games, so that you said the 10 playoff teams.
Yep.
So that's 10. So I'll give them 5. Let's give them 5 wins for that, and then there's 7. So they'd have to win 7 games to go 12.
I think they'll go. Yeah. Oh, and here's another. I think they'll beat Chicago because Chicago is still gonna be ass. They're losing they're losing to Detroit, Slick, and then they play Denver. Mark my words, Slick. Denver is gonna be the number 1 defense next year with the way they drafted. Then they play the Raiders. They'll beat them. Now, here's these 2 games, Slick, that I think that they're gonna get fucked up, and I really hope that they do this back-to-back shit. The Rams and the Bucs.
Hey, we gotta keep smacking that ass.
Yeah, exactly. Look, at this point, we the pimp and they are hoes. So at this point, through rain, sleet, or snow, go get my money, Eagles. Go get our money, Trick. Jalen Hurts is our hoe. That's our garden tool. We use him as our dispense. He is recreational use. Now, they get mad at that, Slick, but did you know out of the past 5 meetings, the Bucs have won 4 of them? Let that sink in, Eagle fans.
Yep.
Let that sink in, Eagle fans.
They got us once in the playoffs, didn't they?
No, regular season. And then we got them back in the playoffs. That was 2023 season.
Mm.
They got us in the regular season. And then in the playoffs, that's when we just went. And then we put a thumb in there just for all-purpose reasons. All-purpose reasons. And remember, Slick, they always bitch about receivers. Your boy Devontae Smith was in that game. He ain't do shit. So again, for everybody else out there, this will be another conversation, Slick, but Jalen Hurts is not a top 5 quarterback. Stop that bullshit. If you want to put him in the top 10, I will give you that. But they asked me, and I said with a straight face, Baker's better because Baker has done it without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. If he had a defense, if Bowles actually had balls back then, the Bucs literally are a 12-win team because we beat the 49ers.
Jalen Hurts is one of those quarterbacks who he gets the job done, but with like minimal effort, if that makes sense.
I'm going to say this.
The yards, he doesn't come away with a lot of touchdowns, but he doesn't turn the ball out. He's not much of a turnover machine, if I remember correctly.
No.
He's a lock solid, dependable quarterback.
He's an athletic Brock Purdy. I said what the fuck I said. Am I wrong? Remember, both of them are dink and dunk passers. The biggest difference is Brock Purdy can't run. Jalen Hurts doesn't throw deep like that. He's not a big deep ball thrower. And again, they're both surrounded by immense talent.
I mean, we've seen what that guys look like without those guys. So
that's and Slick. When you say someone's elite, we've seen Mahomes do it without wide receivers, and I give Mahomes that respect. We've seen.
I don't think Mahomes knows what not being in a fucking what do you call it?
AFC championship.
An AFC championship looks like because he's never not been in one.
He might be allergic to that.
He's the only guy who's been in an AFC championship game since he's been in the league, not including his rookie year because he didn't play. Well, he played the
Exactly.
last game. He was still present at the game, but he didn't. You know what I mean? They didn't do.
I get you. When you can go, put it this way, Slick, in your third year, you can get to an AFC against Brady. You're doing something. So that's what we're trying to tell people. Jalen Hurts, I get it. You know what the problem is? They like him because of off the field of his kindness.
Oh, he's a great human.
He's a great fucking human. That's cool. You know what, Slick? I don't give a fuck about that. I give a fuck about what you do on the field and how that translates. Warren Sapp might not be the best guy to talk to, but that's one of the greatest defensive tackles that ever played the fucking game. You don't have to like these people as a person. You don't know them. For all you know, I'm not saying that Jalen is, but for all you know, that shit could be for show. There are people who look like they're nice that are some of the evilest motherfuckers to walk the earth. And that's another conversation for another time. But at the end of the day, Buck fans, rejoice. Your Buccaneers are going to be Super Bowl champions. I'm telling you that shit. And Slick, they're going to have the NFC South by week 13. Week 13. Why? I think Penix is going to struggle early, which he should. He's going to have a team to back him up. Now, I think this. I think, you know how the Bucs, after the bye week, they got dangerous. That's what I think the Falcons are going to be like in the last 5 games of the season. I think they're going to make a big ass push, and the Carolina Panthers are going to be feisty all season. I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers get to between 8 and 9 wins this season.
And they fight for the second place.
They fight for the second place. Now, you know who's going to be the asshole of the league, of the South?
The Saints.
The Saints. The Saints, the poopy ass Saints, they about to just flush. They don't know what to do. And Lord, and don't let Derek Carr be out for the season. I am cracking jokes. The Saints are going to be, look, that gumbo ain't going to be good this year, Slick. That gumbo is going to be, look, ass go. That's what it's going to be, ass go. So, final thoughts, Slick, on the draft. Give me your grade, and we'll wrap this bad boy up.
I'm going to go with an A- because I felt like there was still needs to be addressed, but for the most part, I was happy with every pick. A safety would have been nice, but I'm not the one evaluating the talent. I'm not the one in the meeting rooms. I'm not the one. I didn't sit and look at every single player. I'm not going to sit here and say I watch tape on every single player. I've got other things I do, or that I'm more interested in. But I like the picks that were taken. I would have liked to get the line. I would have liked to got the linebacker. Like, I was a big fan of Chris Paul, and he did fall for a bit, so I was kind of hoping we'd go there instead of having the second corner. But I've always believed in Like We Trust, because every now and again there's a draft pick that I doubt or go, I'm not too keen on this guy, and he ends up being special. So I'm absolutely fine with what Jason Light does. In Like We Trust, he brings the light. He brings the light, and we got to see it. So I'm here for it. I'm interested to see how the undrafted guys go. We got Shiloh Sanders. So if he makes the team, there'll be and there's no one with the number 21 on the Buccaneers. So expect 21 Sanders. The players can get a 21 Sanders jersey. It might be a different person, but still the same vein. So he's my guy I really want to watch.
Me too. If he gets on there, Slick, I got to get to a game in Tampa. Tampa is going to be fucking flooded. And remember, Prime is a Florida boy. That's Fort Mine. Fort Mine ain't that far from Tampa. You know, a couple hours. I want him to succeed because I like him. I think he's a special person. I think out of all the Sanders, he wants to truly play ball. I like him. And I ain't saying Shador doesn't, but you can see the mentality of, bro, I just want to fucking play. So you're right. Now I want to go to, I said at first a B+, then I got moved to an A-, but I'm going to go with the A. Why, Slick? Because we did insurance policy draft. We played chess. That Amica shit is going to, I don't know why, Slick. I just see it in my bones. That shit is going to come back in a good way for us. And then the Walker guy, I don't know why. I see 6 sacks in this motherfucker. I just see I see him coming in, and defense are not gonna be able to handle that motherfucker. I love it. So that is my projection, y'all. I said it. You heard it here. The Bucs are winning the Super Bowl. The floor is 13 wins. The ceiling is 15. Ain't nobody worried about the dusty ass Philadelphia cheesesteak, rotten crotch, bell bottom Eagles. Fuck y'all. Detroit, I'm cool with y'all because I fuck with your coach, but we gonna new to you bastards. Rams, I fuck with McVay. Stafford, get on my fucking nerves, bro, because you didn't do shit for Calvin. And no, Sean Marino got you to the NFL, but that's another topic. Who else? Commanders, you're not getting to the playoffs. You're going to be one of the 10-win teams that don't make it. And JD is going to get humbled just like CJ Stroud. And it's not because JD isn't good, but the NFL always adjusts. You're going to learn the hard way. And for you Commander fans out there, the NFC South is ass. You motherfuckers got into the playoffs in 2020 at 7-9. Oh, and one thing, your boy Chase Young, a guy who just came out of retirement named Gronk made him his bitch. This wasn't prime Gronk. And now Chase is chasing dreams now for a check. He's chasing checks. So y'all got to sit your asses down. Matter of fact, do back-to-back playoffs. The Bucs are the only team in the NFC with 5 straight playoffs.
Can you remember how everyone used to fucking glaze over that dude?
Yes.
He was what? Is he the first, the second pick of his draft class?
Yes, and now he is a journeyman. This is what happens, but again, Slick, this is a lesson to everybody. When you don't have good character, that shit can change your career and the trajectory of your shit in a blink of an eye. You look, if you continue to be a dick for the rest of your life, you will eventually get fucked. You know why? Because eventually you'll turn into an ass and end up being some shit. So just be humble and stay fucking hungry, ladies and gentlemen. That's all. And that's what the Bucs are going to do. And then later on in the next few weeks, because we'll get close to the season, we're going to have a message for Bowles. But for right now, here's a little skim of it. Bowles, aggressive. I want you to write aggressive down, the definition 1,000 times, like Homer Simpson. No, like Bart in The Simpsons. You need to be aggressive. Bowles, I want you to get some balls. Okay? I need you to do this shit. And, if you want to, I'm trying to be a professional trainer. You hit the gym with me because we want to bring those bags down. You used to look like you could play for them. Now you look like you could be on the offensive line with them jugs. Come on now, tighten up. But thank you for checking out Bucs Report. They have the map 102.9 The Game, Broad Street South Radio. This is AJ Turnup here. Check my videos out when it's about bucking time. My TikToks, AJ Turnup. I start shit. I'm controversial, but I bring facts. I'm a fan of the game first, then my squad. As always, check out the YouTube channel. Coach Slick is 2-0. I got a video called Give Coach Slick an Opportunity because the Bucs have interns. We need him in Tampa. Look at this handsome face right here. We want to bring this international player from the waters into Tampa. We got to turn him into Ybor City. Hook him up with a cigar and a Cuban sandwich.
Yes, sir.
With a side of rye whiskey.
Yes, sir.
Slick, always take care of yourself, my brother, and go Bucs, team.
Go Bucs.
Take care, my brother. Peace.
Okay, guys, that's the end of the show. Thank you for tuning in with us and going through this draft process. Put it in the comments. We'll check them out at some point. Who are your favorite picks? Who did you want to get picked? Was there someone the Buccaneers missed on? And what is your hope for this undrafted squad? The Buccaneers season is almost in full swing. We're about to hit the preseason. We've got the mandatory minicamp. The minicamp that will probably get the guys hopeful to try and get on to the preseason squad, the tryouts. They'll be happening soon. So we'll be talking about who wins that, who gets in. And then we'll talk about this complete squad. And hopefully by then the schedule will be out. And that way we can have a look at who we're playing. Because sometimes it's how the schedule falls. You might, you get an easier, a softer game, and then a couple of hard ones, or you get a couple of home games and a tough away game. All that can change the balance of how these games are run. You might have a real hard fest of 2 away games against 2 playoff level teams, and then you come home to 2 more easier games, and then go back on the road, or those kind of things. But for us, we're looking good, guys. And then for me, I'm still coaching, still going, 2-0. Won the last couple of games. The last game was a shutout. We got donuts for everyone. We finished the game 18-0. 18-zip, and then the game before that, I believe, was 23-7. So we're not as high flying as we used to be, but we are that stingy defense that doesn't give up anything. So hopefully we go against this team again next week, next Sunday, and hopefully I can report back to you guys the following Wednesday that it is a 3-0 start to the season, and we're now cooking. But on that note, guys, Bucs on me, Bucs on free. 1, 2, 3, go Bucs!